Hello, 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 hello.
Hello.
Why do you sound as if you're hello?
Because you said hello, hello, hello 10 times, so I needed to, hello. Need to answer you.
Okay, so we're testing. We're testing. Hopefully, this comes out as loud as possible, and not
Not what?
sure.
You need to speak it loud enough.
Needs to know the amount of screaming that we put in. Ish, it feels so weird not having a. I'm looking for the camera. I'm the camera guy, so I'm like, where are we supposed to be facing now?
What do you mean, where are we supposed to be facing? You are always like, you want to be behind the camera.
Of course, but then now, like in this case, it's just audio. So I'm like, where am I supposed to be? Do I
But
just
you know,
look? Do I look at you?
podcasts these days are made both ways, both audio and video.
Yeah, I guess. And I was just searching for, like the best softwares to use, and all the recommendations were like camera, is it video podcasts?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's what's changing. Because
That's what's trending.
yeah, you can upload them everywhere. So you upload YouTube, Spotify, Podimi, Podable, everywhere you get your podcasts. Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Apple whatever. I'm not sure if Samsung also had a podcast thingy, but
Samsung podcast.
yeah.
But interestingly, because I was trying to figure out like where you can actually upload the podcast to.
Mm-hmm.
So it turns out there are services that you upload like your podcast to, and then they'll distribute for you free of charge.
Yeah,
And
because I figured that's how it should work. I was like, I'm sure there's like a neutral point because I don't think everybody that like uploads podcasts, because from the podcasts I've listened to, they are like, you can listen to this podcast everywhere you hear or you get your podcast. I'm like, so do you like individually upload? So I figured there's like the one service that just like automatically uploads to everywhere.
everything. Interesting. So yeah, work cut out, because for me, I think content-wise, uploading is what turns me off the most. I wish I could just record and it goes
You
straight
suck
to
at
YouTube.
editing and uploading.
No, I mean, come on. I'm quite good at editing. Like,
You're quite good at it, at doing it, but then it takes you the time to do it.
because I want
You
to
still-
find. Here's the reason. Let me explain. Yeah.
You can
You-
explain
you know
all you
when-
want.
when-
I
when-
still
when
can
editing-
still shinina you. How do you say shinina in English?
The thing with editing is you need to be in the mood. Otherwise, you're not going to be creative. So I need to get in a creative space. Then I'll be able to edit and come up with something that's satisfying.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's see how long this podcast lasts. This podcast.
I mean, this is super easy. Come on, I could just export this and upload. And it's no wonder I'm saying they've made things easy for me. Like, if there's like a service that's going to upload everything to Spotify and whatnot, one time. In fact, this one that we're recording, the first one, is going to be uploaded tonight. This is, what time is it now? This is 4 minutes to 23. By midnight, it's going to be out, depending on how long it is. I was just being told that the podcast is supposed to be like 2 hours long, so
It was my preference, but then we were supposed to be figuring out what we're going to. What's this podcast about? What is it going to be called? Like, what's going on here? I was just told to come and speak. I'm speaking, so.
it's called arguing with your wife.
But that's a good title. Arguments with your wife, or arguments with my wife.
Arguments with my wife. That would be an interesting title. I'm sure people will be like, what is this? It's catchy though. It's catchy. I know a few people that would go like, I think I want to listen to this.
But that would be a good angle, because most of the times you and me don't agree on a lot of issues.
Exactly. We spend like 10-15 minutes just, going back and forth over same thing.
Yeah, to actually come to an agreement. Yeah.
But interesting. it's actually hard to. I think I feel like some of these things just come as you speak or go along with the podcast. I think podcasts can just be turn on the mic, record,
Just
and start talking, and then
about anything.
and then it will come like wherever your focus point will come at. At some point you figure out what works. Because if we try and pick something specific right now, we might miss out on a few ideas, I guess, that we can actually branch in.
So should we name the podcast Hanging with the Lungus? Podcast with the Lungus.
Oh my god, that's an interesting title. I suggested Jonji and you're like, nobody knows what Jonji is.
Yeah, like, it's not catchy. If I had to say like the John G podcast, I wouldn't click on it personally.
Sounds like Njanji. So maybe people that like trains and stuff like that. If you understand Nyanja, that is
Really, exactly. How many people even care about? I don't think people. Okay, no offense to everybody in Zambia, but I don't think that many people actually know anything about. Okay, no. Let me stop right there. Let me not incriminate myself. No.
Finish your sentence.
No,
We want to hear.
No. That is me making an assumption. But I will say this. Growing up, I grew up very close to a train track or a railway line or whatever. But I've never gotten on a train in Zambia. Ever. Ever.
That's true.
So I'm assuming that applies to the average everybody.
Exactly. I think a rail line or a train station is like maybe 20 minutes away from my place in where I live in Zambia. But I have never like gotten on a train before. Like never, not once. I've heard people, I've heard stories and some not so good, so maybe that also contributed, but
yeah, I heard it takes forever, like on the train.
It's slow and it's packed, and there's like pickpocketing. Is that what they call it? Yeah, pickpocketing, and you have to worry about where your luggage is. Otherwise, if you're not careful, it goes missing, and it's slow. It takes takes so much time. Yeah, so not really. I don't think a lot of people would relate to that.
Okay, so that means Janji is out, crossing it out.
I did suggest books earlier. I mean, it's a boring topic though.
No, it's not a boring topic, but then I am speaking from experience. We said we're going to be reading books together. So far we've only read one. And this was a goal from last year. We've only read one book together. And the book we're reading now, we've been struggling to finish it. And when I say we, I mean the half of us. We have to remind them to actually read the chapter. Like, oh, bruh, please read the chapter. We need to finish this book.
But you know where the problem is. I think the problem is not us. It's the book itself. Do you remember how we breezed through the first book? Like
that's true.
It was an interest. Not I'm not trying to throw shade on the book that we're reading right now, but
the book is interesting. I feel like for people maybe who are like younger, the book would be interesting. Because there's so much to like learn from it to help like navigate your way through. But then when you've already had like experiences and you have your own opinions and you're like, dude, I don't agree with what you're saying.
This is not true. It just doesn't work like this.
And it's most like that's the case mostly with this book we're reading. Well, I was like, and also the guy's writing is like, get to the point, dude. Like, get to the point.
You can't seem to get what he's trying to say, and yeah, I guess the book is just too thin. Maybe we're used to like not necessarily used, but we may be expected when somebody is talking about love languages. You expect somebody to dive deep into like issues that people overlook, for instance. But he's just scratching on the surface. Like there's no new information. You're like, okay, I know about this. Like it's so obvious. This is so obvious. And then
that's the thing. What is obvious to you is not obvious to other people.
But then
this is why I'm saying, like, if we were like fresh off the boat in the boat of love, it would be like, you know, like, oh yeah, I want to find out more. But then we've had experiences. I feel like the experiences he describes in the book are experiences that we've either experienced or we've seen other people go through it.
But then I would also argue, if you're going to write a book about love languages, for me, I felt like there should have been like more research, and it should have been...
Listen, technically the guy writes books on love languages for every stage. Maybe we skipped a stage. Maybe we started with the wrong book.
No, we actually started with the first book.
We actually didn't start with the first book.
It was the first book.
It's not the first book.
It's the first book regarding like love languages. He did write book like other languages, I guess, related to...
No.
It's like... No, let me finish. It's
my book recommendation. I know more than you. Why you arguing? Oh my god. Okay, now we're making this about the book. No, it's not about the book. The thing is, it's about making the podcast about like talking about the books that we read. My point was, we've not been reading books fast enough that we're going to have like enough to talk about. Right?
And yeah, of course, one of the other reasons why we haven't been like reading fast enough is because like for the first book...
Stop throwing shade on the book.
No, it's not the book. Like this reason it has nothing to do with the book. I think for the first book we lived like we weren't living together. So it was more of an activity that we really wanted to do. Like we needed to do it.
Yeah, because it helped us spend time together.
Yeah, exactly. But now we're always together, and
we're not always together. It's just that we come home to the same house, so we always see each other.
Exactly. But that's exactly my point. Like it was different last time. You would, you know, even if you were coming back home, we're still away from each other. So now, when you're not working, when you get back home, and you know I'm not working, I get back home, we're both here. So maybe that has contributed as well. I'm just saying it's not the main reason, but
yeah, maybe. Yeah. But then I think we should make our podcast authentic, of where we talk. If we're going to share things on a podcast, I think we should talk about, if it's the book that we're reading, then you know, we go like, oh, this episode is about the book that we're reading. We want to say about all the fun things that we've read, blah, 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 blah. Or it could be like, we did something fun this week. You know, we tried to do lots of dates, you and I, and like, you know, we can talk about that, what the experience was like, and, you know. It could be a variety of things. I don't think sticking to like one theme.
Yeah, sticking to one theme you would end up running out of ideas. Or maybe, as the English people say, we could find a theme for each like session. We find a theme that we can relate to. If we're talking about dating, for instance, and then we find a chapter somewhere, a book or a chapter or anybody that says something.
He really wants to do this about books.
No, not necessarily. Okay, I won't mention a book.
From the guy that doesn't read that much, he really wants to make this about books.
No, I was going to say we find somebody that has said something, be it in a video, if we're going to reference another. But then
why do we have to find somebody? Why can't we just give our opinion on it?
Because it's going to kickstart the conversation. Because we can't just go like, oh yeah, we're going to talk about spending time together. This is what we do. This is what we do, A, B, C, and D. But then if we have a starting point, and
why can't that be the starting point?
It can be the starting point, but I'm just saying, spicing it up. You can reference a book or something and say, this person says this, but this is what we do. and this is what we think about what they said, and just kickstarting a conversation. I mean, if it's just going to be one-way conversation if we're talking about us.
I get your point. I just like to argue.
Okay, we are heading into 15 minutes.
So, what is the podcast about? Oh, a variety of things. What is the podcast called?
The name. I had my suggestion. You said it
John
wasn't.
G is out. It's gone. If that was your only suggestion, they're out of the game.
Let's hear your suggestion.
I came up with two already that I have forgotten now, but there was something. Arguments with my wife, and what was the other one? What was the other one?
I can't even remember.
See?
Okay, arguments with my wife. It just sounds so wrong. I'm not taking that one. I'm not gonna have people go like, do you argue that much with your wife that you had to name a podcast? You had to name a podcast argument.
Do you think there's a podcast called All Things Here and There?
Not really. That's
Welcome to our podcast, All Things Here and There. We talk about all things from dating to food to anything else in between.
But then I feel like that lacks identity though. Like it needs to have a spicy touch of you and me, and go like, okay, it's these. Like that sounds so English.
All Things Here and There.
Yeah.
So you want it to be Vintu all things and there. You're gonna put a local language word in there, so that it should tap into the roots.
Okay. So we've tackled the time and what we're going to be talking about.
Now we just need a name.
But that can come later. Of course. I don't think we need a title for now. Of course we can pick one. We can pick one, but then we can change as time goes by.
It's like naming a baby. We'll just name it baby for now, and then later when we decide on the name.
Baby podcast. Baby podcast.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
What about the journey?
The journey? It's too short.
It's a starting point. The journey of Tenji and John. The journey of John and Tenji.
Why can't we call it John and Tenji?
Too cliche. Too cliche for my
What's up with you and names? Like you seem to have something again. What's the name of your YouTube channel? Going straight to the castle.
No, the name of my YouTube channel is actually Tenjoi Tentakalunga. That's the name of the channel. But then I don't know, should I call it like a series, or like my vlogs are entitled Going Straight to the Castle.
To the castle. You see, now that's a catchy title.
Oh,
but then if you just say the journey to where?
It's a starting point. That's what I'm saying. It's a starting point.
Okay, let's add like two extra words to the journey.
I was actually thinking of I don't know when it was. I don't know if it was yesterday or today when we were talking about this whole podcast thing. I was thinking about the whole being non-EU in Norway. And each time when you're talking about relationships, it's always it's never like in the spotlight of people who are like not mixed. No offense to anybody who's in a mixed relationship or whatever, all that stuff. No, it's no shade at all. But then I feel like in my encounters, there's always like that. Even when I'm talking to somebody and they're like, oh yeah, so who'd you live with, or what's like, when you're getting to know each other with somebody else, and you're like, oh yeah, I live with my husband, or this and that, and they're like, oh, is he Norwegian? I'm like, no, he's not.
It's very much Zambian, actually.
Yeah, there's always like that assumption, so I feel like it's not given so much light. I wanted to say same couples, but I don't think that's the right way to say it. But like non-intermixed
Same race.
Same race couples who live in a different country. That makes sense. Not just same race, but yeah, same race couples that live in a different. I don't know, but I know you get what I mean.
I get what you're trying to say. Yeah, it happens. It happens to me a lot as well.
So our podcast is going to be called Love Abroad.
But I have a better suggestion. Let's call it Diaspodcast.
Diaspodcast. It sounds like one of those things that will be talking about the diaspora a lot. Hell no.
No, but I'm trying to. No one that's talking about relatability.
What about Love Abroad, the diaspora way?
That sounds like we're going to be talking about love all the time. Come on, there's podcast. And then you can add a little something afterwards.
Okay,
there's podcast, John and Tenji. There's
not John and Tenji.
You're shaking your head. Oh my goodness.
Okay, I'm on board with Diaspodcast, but it needs to have a little bit more. Diaspodcast, Love Abroad. Diaspodcast, relationship, something. Diaspodcast with your person abroad. I don't know, something more to Diaspodcast. I can't even pronounce it. Diaspodcast. How do you even spell that?
Diaspodcast.
No, it's really cool. I'll give that to you. It is really cool. Diaspodcast, right? But I feel like it needs a little oomph.
Needs a little something. Let's see. That's a starting point. You can add something before, or the something Diaspodcast. But then problem is if you just add it.
Finding meaning away from home.
Away from home?
Creating your own meaning.
Sounds like a paragraph. That sounds like a paragraph. Diaspodcast.
Meaning in
let me write it down.
Please do. Meaning in different ways. No. The journey to meaning. Naming something is so hard. Is this how I'm gonna struggle with name our children?
Can you imagine? Diaspodcast.
Diaspodcast.
See how good it looks?
Yeah, hopefully it's not taken. Nobody else owns a Diaspodcast out there. Before you search for it, let's finish it. Diaspodcast.
Diaspodcast.
A story from Norway.
That's too specific.
A conversation from abroad.
Yeah, maybe that. That actually sounds good. Diaspodcast. Conversation from abroad.
We have a name, people.
Abroad. Conversation abroad. Diaspodcast. Conversations abroad.
Conversations abroad. Conversations from abroad.
It's too long. That from is unnecessary.
But conversations abroad. Abroad where?
Conversations abroad. It needs to be something that even somebody that's not in Norway can relate.
Diaspodcast, conversations abroad.
Yes, we have a name. We have a name, ladies and gentlemen. Conversations abroad.
This name is subject to change as we go forward. Just a disclaimer. So
Conversations abroad. That actually sounds good.
Yes, I hope somebody will find some good graphic art for this and take some very nice pictures.
Oh my goodness. Just wait. I'll see it. It's a long time since I designed something, but I'll get back to it. Okay, so welcome to Diaspodcast. Conversations Abroad with John and Tenji, the married couple.
Yay.
Okay, we're on 25 minutes now. This was just a wrap up. I actually woke Tenji up from bed.
Can you imagine?
I was like, we need to record. I'm that serious about this. So I was like, no, this is not
This
sleeping.
was my idea, but fine. Sure.
I had to walk 25 miles just to pick up a
25
microphone.
miles. Let me give a backstory of how this podcast was birthed. So I've been really into podcasts for the past month. And one day it just dawned on me. I was like, wait, we're creatives. We love photography, videos, and all of that. And I was like, babe, let's start a podcast. And he was like, no. It was a flat out no. He's like, what is it? No. What's it even going to be about? No. 2 weeks later, he's like, oh, babe, yes, we're starting a podcast. I'm like, haha. What happened to the no? And here we are. Podcasting.
I didn't say no. It was just, not now. I didn't finish the sentence. It was not now.
It was a no.
But anyway, here we are. And, yes, excited for what's going to come. Are you?
Of course. I love having conversations with this guy. That's why I'm married to him. So
I love you too. I know that was just a way of saying I love you, but I love you too. Okay. Until the next one. I'm not sure when it's coming next. Very soon.
Yeah.
Very, very soon.
Yeah. Hey.
Take it easy. Be optimistic.
We support you. Me and the listeners, we support you.
We have everything. This is a very easy setup. Okay. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. I hope you like it. I hope you like our banter, and I hope you come back to listen to the next episode whenever that will be. According to our creative director, he does not know.
These things are not easy. They take time.
Yeah.
You need to be directing, you need to be editing, you need to be the executive, whatever. Anyway, won't say much. Let's just see how it goes, but really, really optimistic and hoping and looking forward to the many more episodes to come.
That's it from us. I'm Tenji.
And I am John.
And this is
Diaspodcast.
Conversations from Abroad.
Yay!
Oh, Conversations Abroad. I'm sorry. Conversations Abroad.
Okay, until next time. We'll see you. Or you will hear. Is it here? I'm so used to video. Sorry.
This is
until you hear from us next time. Bye.
Bye.